Some of you are starting to have what I will call profound remembering experiences. Now, you have called them déjà vu, a phrase which means I think I've been here before. I have the feeling of remembrance, although I cannot remember if it happened or not. And some of you are having that more and more. You will meet a person, and you will walk away from the meeting and you will be convinced you have seen that person before, only to turn later that you never met them. You go to a gathering and you meet somebody who is so friendly and so familiar and is so family, and you get their information and you're excited for this new friend, and yet somehow through it all you realize it's an old friend. You're rekindling that which is profoundly friendship and family. You've met a mother or a daughter in a past life. Men will meet comrades and those who somehow they feel an affinity to, and they will call them mates and chaps and whatever it is, and want to be with them. It's more than that. You find a similarity of consciousness. It's more than that. You're starting to remember. I'm going to call it Akashic awakening. More and more, you are led into situations that seem familiar and faces that you think you know. And yet, it's the first time. My partner has it happen when he leaves his home and goes to countries and cultures he has never been to and never seen, and there he meets brothers and sisters, and it's hard for him to leave. Many don't speak his language and can only be available through interpretation, and yet he looks in their eyes and he knows their family. He knows their family. Far-reaching as it might be, his experiences all over the planet are ones where he knows he meets family. This is a symbol, a sign of being an old soul. And some of you are having it happen over and over. How many of you see 11:11 on the clock? Old soul. Did you know this is a delivery system to old souls so they know they're old souls? That's what it's about. It's out of synchronicity. By chance, you're not supposed to see those numbers that often. It is a system of communication, of love, that says, we know who you are, old soul. Perhaps you're a woman who has never had children, and yet at some level, you have, and you know it. You can feel it. Perhaps you're a woman who has never had children, and you're not going to because you feel you've had children over and over and over, and now it's time for a rest. But you know what it's like, don't you? You really do. Old soul. You've been here enough time that your Akash rings with being a mother. It is the same for men. A man who is sweet-natured, a man who would never hurt another human being, knows at the deepest level that he's probably put a sword through a few and knows what it feels like at some level. Now, if you're a man sitting in this audience and listening to me, I challenge you to go there with me because you'll feel it. You know you have. It rings in your akash. It is part of your cellular structure. As sweet as you might be, as respectful as you might be, this time around, you know you have warrior inside. Now, if you really want to get esoteric, women in the audience, you know you have warrior inside as well. You can feel it. You participated on the battlefields of earth and you know it. Although you may not respond to being a male, you can respond to battle. You know what it's like to survive or not on the battlefield. So much history was won and lost so often by those with weapons. And all of you in the room have participated to the fullest in all of it. Sometimes you died for your God, and sometimes you died for nothing. But you've had the experience of knowing what it felt like to come and go quickly. And the next time around to decide whether that is what you're going to do again, or why not. There are so many signs, and perhaps you're not aware of them, and some that hide. Here's one I want you to examine in your mind as you sit there. Are you naive or wise? Now, I recognize that a naive person will never think they're a naive person. I'm talking about wisdom beyond your years. Do you have wisdom beyond your years? And the answer in every case is yes, and you know it. As you sit there in all honesty with your body, with your brain, you know it. You have wisdom beyond your years. There are some young people here who feel it profoundly. Wisdom beyond your years. How is that possible? How do you describe what that feels like? Dear ones, I have just given you one of the keys to knowing you're an old soul. And you never talk about it with anybody. How can you say such a thing to anyone without them believing that your ego is in charge when you say, I am wiser than anyone around me? But perhaps you are. And you have that in common with a group. And you come together with them and you realize it. And you found family. Your wisdom comes through experience. You paid for it. Dear ones. That's how you know you're an old soul. Now the next one is difficult, and we have spoken of it before. But there is one thing that being an old soul creates in your personality, and you'll know you have it. I know who's here. For eons you have pushed against an old energy and you haven't done well. The old energy was always in charge. And you either had to hide from it or battle it. It never really got any better. Lifetime after lifetime you spent in this condition, always being beat back, until now. Now you awaken in an area of the galaxy at a time on this planet that the ancients have spoke of that is profound with change. The energy is on your side, and that is what we have talked about. However, what do you carry, old soul? Into this energy, what do you carry? You carry a lack of self-worth. complete lack of self-worth. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. I want you to soul search right now. You know I'm right. You may be assertive on the outside. You may be strong to others, but when you're alone, you wonder who you are. You wonder if you're going to make it. You wonder if you're right. That is an old soul.